Yeah, what is a drug?
So what is a drug? Anything that alters the mood and the mind is considered as a drug. So alcohol, marijuana, crack cocaine, LSD, Molly, everything falls under this particular classification. But here in Guyana, certain particular mood and mind altering substances takes on many forms. For example, marijuana takes on many forms. We've seen them in the edibles. Anything that holds flower, I've seen cannabis in.
Anybody that goes?
Anything that holds flower.
So you should tell me the pot because
I will look every single thing.
So I shouldn't be going up by me family them or my friends and eating fried bacon pot.
You gotta be extremely careful
so
when consuming anything versus because
this is why I frighten cake. I don't really eat certain cake from people that tell me eat cake in your part. That is why I tell me with a hate the cake.
I tell you.
I'm not eating cake like that.
But that is because this particular generations, everyone wants to become a chemist overnight. So we're going to try different mood and mind altering substances. We're going to mix this with that. You know, we're just trying to see how best they can have new innovative ways to consume mood and mind altering substances. And to be honest with you, this is very detrimental in society today because the cases that we have within our rehabilitation centers are young persons, brother.
So you're trying to tell me that the ratio is more younger generation than the
young
older
persons are within the rehabilitation centers ranges between the ages of 17 to 27.
So are the question, these persons, especially younger generation, do you guys ask them, did you take this drug on your own, or did someone, your friend, encourage you to do it, or it was an accident that you didn't know about it?
Very good question, but I'm gonna be real honest with you, right? First, we used to look at this thing called addiction like a secondary problem. I mean, a traumatic experience had to happen. Here what happened? Why if he left me, might I pick up his bottle, brother, and watch. It's not that I can't stop, you know, it's just that it takes the pain away.
You know, most persons.
Or you happen to see last week, new lady passed away, and I just blazing up this giant here, so you know it takes away the pain a little. This is what's considered as traumatic experiences. But today, brother, when we finish our in-depth assessment, we realize that traumatic experience is not a part of it. Persons are picking up for experimentation purposes.
Like they
this way, got a tree on the table. Oh, it looks so man, I could get a piece.
And then again, the person who they ask and saying, hey, this thing got piece of jammy inside me. Why you take the thing? Or me want you juice this body, your mindset got hard, or you know you gotta go on. I mean, some persons, even if somebody play curious and ask them about something to taste it, it's they need to take it on their responsibility now to explain to this person, well, hey, this is what I need, so this is how going to make you feel, and I want you to try this, say so. You understand me? Likewise, you got some persons, they just literally evil, and they go, why you use this thing? They gonna tell you nothing.
Right.
They gonna say, well, hey, Philip, this thing got jammy inside, or this thing mixed done with Mali or pill. They ain't gonna sit up, they gonna sit down and they gonna watching you motion, you active, everything. They want to see them know it's chemists themselves, as a scientist, they want to see how your body react to it.
You're absolutely right. What we are touching at there is what's considered as tolerance, right? Now, I might be using papi, jammy and sours, right, for a consistent period of time. I become somewhat tolerant towards it. But you probably have never used sours in your life.
Indeed, yeah.
You pick up the piece of brownie and eat it. And the thing about it, once you're consuming cannabis in that form as the edible, it is only after 45 minutes you will feel any effects whatsoever. So a person might eat a piece of cookie and say, but wait now, actually you lying by, you put nothing inside
and
this
then
thing.
Go for more give
me treatment. And when you pass that 45 minutes threshold, right? Of course, getting on high, you can't do it that easily. Wow. So we have cases where persons would transcend that instant gratification feelings they would get and move straight to the paranoid stage. It's very crazy.
This now coming to a part where I mentioned to you earlier that I tried weed, I tried pills or the ecstasy and so forth, but I didn't left hook on these things. Like I mentioned to you, it's some mindset, something. And like you just mentioned about the person going in on the cookie.
Yeah.
I remember I went out with my friends and I tell them, hey, I gotta try this pill with y'all. I never used this before. I never said I never used this. I thought I used it before. No, is it like? And I went out with my friends them, and they give me you know when you're going through the process, they're supposed to give you a little piece and the next piece. But I tell them I try already. I know, but this thing big by me. They give me a whole one. And you remember you just mentioned the time sprang of 45 minutes, and I went, and I literally started feeling different. I tell them I want to go to the hospital. I like how I feel. I want to go to the hospital. Then people then was like, Trini, what are you telling me you used this before? Me now they hearing this phrase and I didn't understand anything. So you see that comes in with that part that you just explain.
Exactly.
You understand me? And that's why I went through, because I want to play curious to see exactly how it feels, but I liked it.
And a lot of persons too, right? When the experience hits them and they're not comfortable with it, the first thing that arises is fear.
Indeed, and fear sends you crashing.
Yes, definitely. The whole
system crashes with fear.
Yes, definitely.
So, and that's exactly what happened. Wow.
So all that's happened between that little space of being high is that the psychological process and the physical body, there's a little what we consider as separation. It is just a false perception, it's not a reality. So when I'm see the I'm on cloud 9 or I'm on a different level.
A different level.
Yeah, or you know, I so high that I just gotta peep through the window and see what Christ's doing. And I got a lot of things.
So alright, let me ask you a question. So when persons use these drugs, right? Does it put them in a different dimension, meaning that they think different, they look at things different, and they tell you stuff that is probably unreal or real, or things in a wider aspect they see stuff? Does it open their mindset? Does it make they see true stuff differently?
Well, that's a very good. In other words, we're asking if by chance persons get a different clarity of perception when they're consuming mind altering, and that is absolutely no. Absolutely no. There's, I've heard, well, right now the Rastafarian community, mommy here on a platter. Yeah, straight up on the place because
Why?
Because we had numerous debates about cannabis and the benefits and society and these kinds, and they would tell you straight up, look, when I smoke this giant brother, I is up on a different level. It is bring man in union to self. You know, I is up on a different level. I just see things more clear. I could reason better and all these different things. But marijuana has 483 molecules, and in my line of work, persons cannot pinpoint if there's a specific molecules that brings innovation and clarity. That is not so. As a human being, right now, as a sound mind, the only thing that separates you from the rest of animals on the planet is that your faculties and all the different faculties that is present right now, you don't need to alter them, or you don't need to diminish them in a particular sense to feel some sense of normality or clarity. This can happen right now, and this is where we talk about mental wellness. Mental wellness is your ability to just handle thoughts and emotions in a particular sense. If it's been altered, definitely this is not a reality for you. So when a man turns and say, hey, when I smoke, yo, watch, look, I come with that idea, Judge, but only when I smoke this piece of power. Yo,
so like
that's just justification.
And you're getting like kids who are in the university and certain tertiary educational level.
Yes.
They say like when they use the weed, they're able to function more, and they're able to focus on the exam, and they're gonna whip it through right through. I went through exam. Did you went through any process of that whereby somebody used that drugs and they went to exam room and they excel extremely?
Countless. Of course. Person say, hey, Mr. Drayton, look, I smoke this thing and I go and I pass. It's A plus, you know.
And seriously, they get A plus?
It's A plus they get, you know, brother. So guess what they're gonna do the next time? They're gonna do that. And they're gonna continuously doing that. And what you find happening is just tolerance being built. It is not the cannabis that is responsible for intellect. You understand me?
Understood.
Probably they're using it, and the anxiety towards going to an examination is being lowered.
Wow.
Probably that is all that is needed. I have many persons went to university, Guyana, you know, that will actually go and say, here what, nice smoke this joint, and this is the situation happening. But here what? When there's no examination, you want to smoke it too, because if you're in a particular forum, you want to be intellectual too as well.
Indeed, so true.
A psychological dependence is being developed first before an addiction. And that is something that persons experience. Look, this is a real diverse topic, you know.
Wow.
Very sensitive.
Yeah, indeed, and I realize that it can touch different level, and it can bring out a whole lot things that persons now are aware of. You understand
Definitely.
me? So, our next question: how do you deal with someone who's an addict, but they want to stop, but it's not allowing them to stop?
What is not allowing them to
Alright, Bill, alright, I want to stop smoke weed. I want to stop pop pill. But this gravity that keeps pulling me back and telling me, hey, you got to burn a giant today. You got to pop a pill.
Very good question. I'm going to raise something rigorously honest. Right? There's something called the stages of progression to misuse. And the 7 stages. Right? And regardless if you're smoking or drinking, or you're not smoking or drinking, you're part of the progression to misuse. The first is considered as exposure. The smallest child around the vicinity, the area, if they go to the shop to purchase corn color or biscuits or these kind of stuff, alcohol is being sold there, alcohol is a drug, you're being exposed. Very
Indeed.
simple.
Yeah.
Then the second stage is we move to something called experimentation. This is when you try the drug for the very first time. How many years ago was that?
And I guess when persons try drugs for the very first time, this is the first ever feelings that they ever had. And that is what make persons continue using, or they continue going to a higher level, because they literally want to regain that first.
Oh, you for that phase, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I'd be a wrong person who
that.
utilize these things, and they explain these things to me because I like to be curious and ask questions. And this is something I'd always want to be a part of: drug use, mental health, because I like to communicate with persons who are going through mental issues, is a mental problem. I like this because they stated that persons who are going through mental problem, they tend to have like 2 more extra cents more than us. I guess.
That is what we consider the manipulation sense.
Oh,
right? And I bring back to what you say, and that statement when you make that, I hear members of society say, you know, that person is chasing that force high.
Indeed.
But here, that is 50% true. Because we have clients that chase that high for 15 to 20 years on the streets, right? And then they will stop and say, but here, I can't get back this force high.
Indeed.
But what have I accomplished over 20 years? Here what happened, the wife left me, I don't sell everything out in the house. Mash up relationships between loved ones, friends, and families. So at that particular moment, the concept for smoking or drinking changes. He or she is no longer smoking or drinking to get that high. They're drinking to block out all the pain they've caused for themselves and their loved ones, friends, and family. This is called the addictive cycle. And if not properly addressed, it can take decades to break. Now, you ask a question about how do we help a person who's a chemical dependent individual who wants to stop but can't stop, right? That is because addiction has a compulsion behind it. Right? We have persons who say, yo, look, the family asks for eatables today. I mean, I'm going for buy it. They give me the money for go to groceries, but me for turn in the drug book.
Indeed.
You know? So how do I stop it? They cannot do it themselves. But an individual who is in the pre-contemplation stage, who is in the denial stage, right? You can't do anything for them if they don't want to stop.
Indeed.
But we don't abandon them. We create a safe space where we could bring some type of awareness that they need to move from the denial to a contemplation stage, that perhaps they have a problem and something needs to be done. And I'm not talking about change, brother. I'm talking about transformation.
Indeed, and that's a whole lot of process.
That is a long
process. And like I mentioned earlier before, it all comes with your mindset.
Yep.
It's all about your mind and what your mind needs and so forth. Alright, it seems as though this drug topic is going to go forever. So before we wrap up, we want to know, who is Philip Drayton?
Philip Drayton is definitely a co-karma collective individual, a national athlete, back on the track.
Yeah, who probably wasn't a part of the athletic arena. Well, this is Philip Drayton, the 800-meter boss. Yeah, I should say. So, Philip, in terms of the talking about mental health, focusing on drug abuse, how do you see yourself from now within the next 2 to 3 years?
Definitely. Well, we have an organization called Life Reform that does interventions with situations as it relates to narcotics, alcohol, violence treatment, and of course rehabilitation. So we've implemented a 10-year plan where we try to see how best we can have our own multi-complex organizations where everything that is required for the rehabilitation process becomes a reality on one location. I'm talking about drug treatment specialists, social workers, counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists. Everything is on board. So that is the direction which we're headed in.
Alright, but one final question. So how do you guys use this initiative to help persons do you guys reach out to the community, reach out to the needy, kids in needs, or you just focus on persons with mental health?
No, the best weapon to combat addiction is education.
Indeed, yes.
Right? So awareness is the first level of interventions that we are doing presently throughout communities. Of course, COVID-19 come and mash up nothing.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. Mashing up even Christmas to the little kids you and beg for.
That is why we are grateful for initiatives like yours, etc., so that we can sensitize the public and pass the same information that we will do lectures and seminars with, so that they could get it. So it seems like COVID, we have to cope and survive and live with it still. So all intervention strategies is going to go online too as well. Even up to treatment and rehabilitation and aftercare is going to be an online service. So what we're going to do is necessary.
Awesome. It was great having a chit chat with you, sir. Like I mentioned, mental health looked like a whole episode talking about it. So I do hope that I get to see you again next time so we can chit and chat and talk better about it.
Yes.
But we didn't talk much about alcohol, but next time we can talk about alcohol because this is the month for alcohol. So guys, please don't drink too much, control yourself. Is there any number that you want to give the public that they can call?
Yes, any person that is suffering from mood and mind altering substances, any persons that portraying these manipulative behavior patterns or addictive personalities, you can get in contact with us from 697-0989, or you can email us at lifereform.savinglives@gmail.com. Big up yourself.
Awesome, nice. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the next edition of Trini Wall's Raw Talk Show. Please stay tuned, subscribe, like, and share, and tell everybody about it. Goodbye.